When we left this bed, it was a freshly raked pile of soil. 2 months later, it's one of the most thriving places in the whole yard. Worms staged a jailbreak, mushrooms moved in, and I'm brewing something in a bucket. Welcome back to the Hugelkultur series. In Chapter 1, we explored the bones of this bed. In Chapter 2, we are bringing it to life. Soil biology, worms, mushrooms. I've got a worm tea experiment going on behind me right now. Let's take a look. After filling the bed, I worked in a starter fertilizer. It's lower in NPK, but high in biology, containing beneficial microbes. But bacteria and fungi are just the start. A living soil needs the full food web: protozoa, nematodes, predators, and recyclers that keep nutrients cycling. Not every nematode is an enemy. The destructive ones get the headlines, the beneficial ones quietly do their jobs. Classic. To bring in that diversity, compost. Hot compost is fast and bacteria-dominated. Cold compost takes longer, but tends to support a wider range of organisms, which is why I don't mind the wait. The life in the soil is breaking down the wood that we have buried in our bed, just like this old avocado branch that was buried in the soil near the old tree. Not only is life breaking it down into nutrients for the plants to absorb, but the wood is becoming like a sponge, which can then absorb water and store it for the hottest summer days. The roots will even use it directly, growing straight into the softening wood. The wood and leaves are perfect for decomposers. The worms figured that out before I did. Inside the bed, I installed worm bins. Normally I'd build them myself, but I used these pre-builts because I was short on time. I added the first batch of worms, and they left. Almost immediately. They migrated out through the holes and down into the bed. But this wasn't an issue. I imagined those Hugelkultur layers of decomposing leaves and coffee grounds were just too good to resist. At least, that's what I'm going to keep telling myself. I eventually restocked the population, but I'll get to that in a moment. Next came fungi I could actually see. I built a mother pile to expand my wine cap mushroom spawn, then spread those inoculated chips across the bed as a living mulch. I'll walk through the whole wine cap process in its own video once they fruit. While I likely won't see any actual wine cap mushrooms until the rainy season, the mycelium is already at work, and it helps suppress the kinds of nematodes that go after tomato roots. Timing mattered here. I waited until the carrot seeds had sprouted, drop heavy mulch too early into some other seedlings before they ever reach light. 2 months later, the bed doesn't look new anymore. It looks alive. Then I spotted signs of early blight on one tomato plant. That's when I asked myself, could I give this bed's biology a boost? That sent me to an experiment. Worm castings, a flood of active microbes, not just nutrients. And mealworm frass, insect manure, which can prime a plant's immune response. The experiment? Brew them together into a single liquid tea. Maybe this combination does something special? Maybe it doesn't. I want to find out. I'd run short on my own castings, so I went to a local worm farmer to buy some. And while I was there, I picked up a fresh batch of worms to rebuild the population that, as you recall, voted with their feet. If worms had feet. To separate the new worms from their shipping castings without harming them, I used the atoll method. Pile them into a mound out in the sun, and the worms burrow away from the air and light. Skim the top, wait, skim again, and you're left with clean worms at the bottom. Those went straight back into the bins. Reinforcements. And if you haven't already, a like and subscribe genuinely helps. It nudges the algorithm to test this video with more people, which is how most small channels grow. Okay, the tea. I'd planned to build my own brewer, but it got complicated fast. So, I bought a pre-assembled worm tea maker that drops right into a 5-gallon bucket. Small business, fast shipping, links in the description. One rule on the bucket: it has to be food grade. You do not want chemicals leaching into a brew that's entirely about biology. First, I run the air pump in the plain water for a few hours. The whole brew runs on oxygen. That favors the good aerobic microbes over the bad anaerobic ones, and it drives off any free chlorine while it's at it. I start by pouring a 1/4 cup of unsulfured molasses into the water. I recommend dissolving it into warm water and giving it a good stir before pouring it into the brew. Then I tie off my 2 tea bags, one with worm castings, and the other with the mealworm frass. We turn the air pump back on, and now we wait. Over the next day or so, it froths and comes alive. That foam isn't contamination. That's the colony expanding, and that's what you want. When it's ready, it has to be used fast. These microbes are only viable for a few hours once the air stops. I drenched the whole bed, then the rest went out across the yard. Nearly every plant benefits from this, minus the California natives, but we'll talk about that in another video. Here's the thing: no bed is an island. It's an organ in a much larger body. If we take care of the entire system, then the system will take care of the bed. I'm Professor Brown, and I will see you in Chapter 3.